Hello and welcome to the video. We're making a patio and a gas fireplace with a sitting wall here in Edina, Minnesota. This was a 3-day project. This is my first time doing video voiceover, so I'll try not to bore the socks off you. There's a look at our gas fireplace and the sitting wall that's next to it. My delightful wife Jody does our design and sales, so let's have a look at her design for this project. So if you look at our drawing there, we've got an area for the hot tub right next to the house. So we're going to be excavating extra and putting extra base under that to help hold up all that weight. Then there's a space for a big table and chairs. And then up at the top is the gas fireplace, and there's room for seating there, which you already just saw. So now we're at the job site and we've unloaded our tools, and we're going to take a look at the situation and figure out how we're going to get into the backyard to do our work, because we want to try not to damage the lawn if we can help it. And there you can see we have that fence in our way. So sometimes we can take the fence down and just put it back up at the end, but you'll see this one has this mesh wire which was attached with like 1,000 staples. So we just decided to leave this fence in place and take out that door so that our small Bobcat machine can get through. This way we don't have to worry about putting the whole fence back together when we finish up the job. And there will definitely be less lawn damage. So these are our composite mats that we bought. They do a lot better job of spreading out the load of the equipment than plywood does. They're pretty expensive, but we just got them because we want to be able to drive across grass and do as little damage as possible. We take these with us to every job, so we've always got them ready to go when we need them. So once we get into the backyard here, we need to transfer all of our measurements from that drawing onto the grass and paint the patio on. And then also I'm taking elevations. We want the patio to end up with 1 inch of slope for every 7 feet. So once I get the existing elevations measured out, then I sit in a chair and write down what we want the finished elevations to be. So this actually takes quite a while. We have all those radiuses and all these different things that are on the drawing that we want to transfer exactly onto the ground, so we end up making exactly what we're supposed to. And there we can see our gas line that the plumber has already come ahead of time and gotten ready for us. Now that we have everything marked on the lawn, we can start cutting out the sod. And first we'll use that machine to cut out some strips so that we can roll up and save some of their sod, so when the entire job is done, we can use their own sod to patch back in around the edges, so then everything will match perfectly with their existing grass. So while we're scraping out the sod, we're also taking elevation measurements there, because we don't actually have to dig that much as we get further out away from the house here, so we're just keeping track of that as we go. And out in the front yard, all the pavers and palleted materials showed up, so that's getting unloaded while we're taking the grass out of the back. And here you see how we get all that material out of there. The little machine loads up the big machine, and the big machine drives it out to the front. So yeah, this is definitely not the fastest possible way this could be done, but again, it saves us lawn damage in the backyard and just saves like messes that we're gonna have to clean up later, so we prefer to do it this way. Now at the same time in the backyard, there was one sprinkler head that would be inside the patio. So we're just gonna dig that out there and add on some more pipe so that we can get that head relocated outside of the patio. This dirt will get dumped at a place where they compost and recycle dirt, and then I'll go back to that same place in like 18 months and end up paying money to get pretty much the same exact dirt back. And now we're starting to move in the base material. We have a minimum of 6 inches of base material, and where the lawn slopes away on the outside edge, there's going to be more. So this will end up being about 25 tons of this that we'll bring in. And it's all coming in just like this, with the Bobcat bringing it from the front yard and dumping it into wheelbarrows, and then we go over to where it belongs and dump it there. We install the base about 3 inches at a time, and then we compact it. And you can see we have really huge plate compactors. So that one going left to right now weighs about 1,000 pounds, and the other one that I'm driving is about 400 pounds. So like that big one is the size of thing that you see him using on highway projects and that kind of stuff. So for this, it's completely overkill, but that's how we want it. Now in that smaller picture, I'm just showing all the fine level detail work that happens before we can do our final compaction, because we want it level left to right along the house, and we want our 1 inch per 7 foot slope coming out, and this really takes a long time to set up. But now you can see when we're completely done, it's basically perfect. That's the end of our first day, so off we go. Morning of day 2, we're going to start bringing in our sand so we can screed out 3/4 of an inch, and that's what goes underneath the pavers that we lay the pavers on. And here we'll get a look at how we get those heavy plate compactors out of there. So not taking out that fence definitely causes a little bit of hassle, but again, like, it's worth it. You'll see when this is all done, like, it's just totally worth it. So here's some of the sand starting to go in. The plumber attaches that gauge onto his line, so we can always check at any time and make sure that there's still pressure in the line so that we know nothing's been damaged underneath this patio while we've been building it. For whatever reason, we didn't get good video of screeding the sand out on that patio, so we're just going to skip over to a different job quick just so you can get a look at how this kind of works. We pull the sand with that big aluminum rake, with the rake riding on the pipes that we have on the base underneath there, and we give the sand a little bit of stomping too, just to make sure it gets mashed in really tight. And once that's all finished, we're ready to lay the pavers. So other than needing to keep things square off the house and keep the lines, like the rows of pavers, straight so they're not like waving as you look down them, other than that, laying the pavers is really not a big deal. This is kind of one of the easier parts. Like, we've already compacted this whole thing. We've already got it sloped exactly how we want it. We've double checked the slope when we put our pipes down. So now this is just kind of like labor work, putting the pavers in, and we have to pay attention still and make sure that we keep our lines straight, but paver laying is kind of nice. It's one of the rare times when there's not equipment running and we can turn on a little bit of light music and just hang out and lay some pavers and not have to really think about too much. But that being said, it's always fun when you get to the end and you got all the pavers down, and you know, we're excited. So now we're measuring our radius and making marks so we know what our curve is going to be. And then we'll use the edging that goes around the outside of the pavers when we're done. You can see that stuff curves pretty well, so we'll use that to mark out the full curve to get ready for cutting. And now, for whatever reason, again, I messed up with the camera, so we don't have good video of cutting at this project. So we're going to go back to that last one again, and we'll watch how the cutting works there. We do almost all of our cutting with diamond blade chop saws or cut-off saws, and we cut everything right in place if we can. Although inside radiuses, like what you see on the right there, those you can't cut in place, so we have to take out each paver and cut it and put it back. Now you can see this generates some dust, so when we're all done, we'll take our leaf blower and we'll blow the dust off of everything. And people have asked from time to time why we don't cut with wet saws, like table saws, and we used to do that, and the problem is that creates this kind of fine mist, so it's wet dust that blows all over the place, and that'll actually stick to the house or stick to other things, and it's just a way worse mess. I actually filmed this project a couple of years ago, and since then there's some regulations that are going to limit how much concrete dust you can make at a job site. And what we're kind of waiting for now is for manufacturers to make some equipment that can cut efficiently and collect most of that dust. And right now the tools that they've come up with are just not really good enough yet, but I would expect in the next year or two, we're gonna be able to do all this cutting without creating anywhere near as much dust, which is gonna be great for everybody. So there you can see how we cut wedge pieces to make our border row to follow the curve. There you can get a good look at some of those wedges. And you can see what a nice curve that is. But now really, let's look at how straight this is. Like, that's absolutely straight. So that's not some accident. That's because we're being really careful while we're listening to our music and laying the pavers and teasing each other. You know, we're also being really careful and making sure that our lines stay straight. So now after the pavers are all cut and you can see the edging is down, then we sweep sand into the top and we'll use our small compactor to shake the sand down into the joints, and this is what locks all the pavers together. So there, we're happy. That's the end of day 2. So we start off day 3 with finishing putting sand in the patio and compacting it in. And then next up is going to be our fireplace and sitting walls. But first, let's have a little unboxing of the gas fireplace insert. Ooh, it's so shiny. We didn't really get to deal with a whole lot of clean, shiny things in landscaping, so it's always fun to have these around. Look at that. It's like a new car. So now I'm just doing a little bit of a mock-up just to double check what the dimensions are going to be for the block that supports that the fireplace insert. I'm just double checking like what size and what the layout's going to be. And then they're finishing just tweaking the last little bit of base before we start putting the blocks on. So it looks like there's a bunch of sand on there, but there's probably like 1/8 of an inch of sand or something, and we just use that because the gravel has like chunks in it, and it's easier to get the very final last little bit level if we just put a teeny layer of sand on there. So there's the first row. And you guessed it, this is the second row. Oh, and now we're already on the third row. That was quick. I'm really fast. Okay, now we'll watch building the sitting wall. So this is actually similar cutting to like how we have to do on the border row of the patio. We have to cut wedges. So we cut every other one. And it's the same deal. We cut those in place if we can. And this is just something that takes a lot of practice because we need to make sure that we don't accidentally cut into the row beneath the one that we're cutting. So this is like a huge skill that you're watching right here. And then the caps are the same thing. Cut every other one. Now this is me with a saw back in my hands. I'm gonna do a little bit of fancy cutting because we need to make something that goes around the controller, like the on-off switch for the fireplace. So this is the kind of thing where it probably takes like 45 minutes to cut those pieces, but look, see, looks nice. Happy again. So that drops into place, and then the plumber will come back later and he'll do the final connection on that. So here's what we have so far, and then now we'll just be building up the rest of the outside of the fireplace. So now you may have noticed, or not, but you can notice if you want, down in the bottom there, we've left gaps between some of those blocks. So the blocks aren't pushed totally tight together. There's a little bit of a gap between them on the left and the right. This is just to provide some airflow underneath the burner unit. The manufacturer's instructions specify how much ventilation you're supposed to have. So we're just doing what the manual says we're supposed to do. And that way, when the city comes to do their final inspection, they will see that we've done this correctly and they will be happy. And now you can see that everything is complete. So we're gluing everything, the top row is on, hold everything together permanently. And now all the hardscape is done, so we're moving dirt in and mulch. This project was really early in the spring, so plants weren't available yet, so we ended up coming later to put the plants in. But you can see over there the Bobcat is dumping mulch over the fence into the wheelbarrows, and then we're bringing it over to where it goes. And here now, this is the sod that we cut out 2 days ago when we got here, which we saved. And so we're replacing sod with their own existing sod, so it's gonna blend and match back perfectly with what's there. I love that. Now we can pick up our boards and see how we did. This grass was not perfect really when we got here. It's really early spring yet, so it's hard to see, but there's basically no damage here. Like there's no squashing or anything. It's just in 2 or 3 weeks you won't even be able to tell that machines came through here. Now I don't want to toot our own horn too much here, but I guess that is the point of the video. So this is just something different about our company. We spent a lot of money on those boards. They're translucent, so they let light through to the grass while we're using them. Most companies basically would destroy this whole side yard doing a project like this. Our philosophy is, instead of you having to pay us to fix your sod that we had to wreck to make your patio, you can use that money to make your patio bigger or get something else that you actually want. And then because we decided to keep this whole fence in place, this is great. We didn't have sod damage. All we have to do is just put the gate back on and we're all set. So that's perfect. I love that. No damage, no problem. Gate back in, we're all good. Now we can go admire our patio. There's their existing grass that we put back. There's some around on the other edge too. You can almost hardly tell which of that stuff is new sod that we put back. And later when we came back and did the planting, now the plumber has been here, so that's all connected, and those are the decorative glass that go in the fireplace, and they've got some cute furniture out. Yeah, I really love how this came out. Great design by my wife, Jody. And an incredible job of installing this by our crew, Alex, Jesus, and Lalo. And my only regret with this whole project is that I tried, but I just should have tried harder to get over there and do a time lapse at night with the fireplace on and some candles laying around, and I just didn't get it done. So I really wish we had that to kind of top off the video. But instead, here's some pictures of other projects that we've done. I know from our other videos that a lot of you would probably like to know how much that job cost. I don't want to say exactly just because it's this person's privacy, but our website has photo galleries where projects are divided up by their budget, and this project would be in the upper half of the $12,000 to $25,000 range. So that gives you an idea anyway. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any feedback for how I can make these videos better, I would love to hear it down below. I have 20 or 25 landscape projects already filmed that I can edit up, and I'd love to be able to make the videos better in the future. If you live in Minneapolis or St. Paul area and you're interested in a project, you can call or email us anytime. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.